Arif, Raza, Aniya, Fatima, Nimra, Awan, Hira, Nazir, Muhammed, Ammar, and Fawwad, Ahmed. Kindly come on the stage so that we can begin the panel discussion. With a huge round of applause, please, audience, give them some warmth and love and a warm welcome. Yeah.
Assalamualaikum and good afternoon and a very warm welcome to panel 4, right? Panel 4, the last one. And we'll start the panel conversation once I hear a big round of applause for the panel, a big one, please. Yes, thank you so much. So my name is Asim Rashid, and in this panel we are going to talk about two particular things, a triangle and a circle. So the triangle is going to be about artificial intelligence, startups, and millennials. And the circle is going to be the HR. So we'll try to encompass this whole concept into the context of HR and try to see how we can link up the whole structure. So before we get into the conversation, let's get a quick introduction with our panelists. So your name, organization, and title, please.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. So I'm Hira Nazir. I am at the moment working with AKU in the administration in collaboration with HR.
Hello, this is Mohammed Ammar, CEO of Flow HCM. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, Arif Raza, working in Pakistan International Container Terminal Limited as Head of Human Capital. Previously, I worked for ICI Group for almost 18 years. Thank you.
Hello. No. Hello.
Yeah.
My name is Nimra. I am actually CHRO in Backpack. I have 18-year experience so far.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Aniya Fatima. Currently I'm working at L'Oreal Pakistan as the HR business partner and also talent acquisition manager. Prior to that, I was working in a different company. I've done different roles in HR from performance management to business partnering and so on and so forth, change management and all of that. So about 10 years of working for me now.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, this is Fawwad Khan. I'm working as Executive Director with Accelerate Private Limited. Prior to Accelerate, I was engaged with K Electric for more than 10 years. So this is my introduction, and thank you very much. आप लोग इतना late, actually a panel discussion we had to start around 3 o'clock. Thank you very much for your patience कि आप लोग बैठे हुए हैं और इस discussion को आप listen करेंगे. Thank you once again.
It's good to be in the company of passionate learners, right? So, always. So, before we start the panel discussion, I'll just give you a quick context on these three particular areas that we just talked about. Startup. So, in the last 10 years, roughly 760 plus startups have been set up in Pakistan. Out of those 760 plus startups, 67% are still functional. And 100 are the ones who have been successfully able to raise funding for their operations. But with the startups emerging in the Pakistani landscape, what we are seeing is a change of culture in HR. Informality is coming in, and at the same time, challenges are coming in because in startup culture, because of the time pressures and the deadline challenges, it is very hard for anyone to really focus on L&D functions. So this is the landscape of startups. Now, if we look into the AI side of it, then interestingly, we all know that AI is going to add roughly 1.2% to global GDP every year in the next 10 years. It is going to, as people say, destroy jobs. It is going to create a lot of jobs. And at the end of the day, it is going to take the repetitive, mundane tasks from our lives and would allow us to focus more on the strategic side of business, of HR, and other functions. Now, when we look at the third direction, which is the millennial, then roughly 50% of the workforce today is millennial, and it's going to be 75% by 2025. Now, as we are talking right now, I was just studying a study in which it was mentioned that 55% of American workers right now are thinking about changing their jobs. Now, if I ask you, if we try to do this study or survey in Pakistan in our context, then what would be this percentage? How many people in Pakistan in the workforce right now are thinking about changing their jobs? In US, the number is 55%. Any guesswork? What percentage of people are right now thinking to change their jobs in Pakistan? Anyone? 40%? At least 40%, right? And that's a big number. Interestingly, Jennifer Christie, who is the CHRO of Twitter, she recently mentioned a very important point. She said that we conducted an employee survey and we discovered that 95% of our people, they either want work from home going forward or some form of it. While previously they just had 3% working from home on a permanent basis. Now 95% employees do not want to go back to workplace on a permanent basis. Now that's a huge challenge because a lot of jobs have to be dealt with based on the office environment. So this is the context, and in this context we will take a start. So I'll give the first question to Aniya. We're not going to follow the sequence, we'll just go with the flow of the conversation, and I would love to have your questions in between. Don't wait till the end of the session. We'll try to take some questions from you in the middle as well. So Aniya, if you look at the current scenario, of course, post-COVID-19 is a given. Then how do you see the challenges about engaging and retaining people in remote workforce operation, given your experience in different organizations?
Since we're talking a lot about millennials, I'm going to discuss them first, right? Before we talk about their challenges or what is it that we can do to improve or create a good environment for them to operate and be more productive, we really need to understand the kind of audience and the target people that we're talking about, right? So we're talking about young people who are very energetic. They like to have empowerment in everything they do. They like excitement. They like the thrill of doing things. Gone are the days where people used to be okay with waiting for maybe years to reap the rewards. These people, millennials, they want quick rewards, right? They want to see the outcomes of the things that they're working on so that they know that these are the things that we did and this is the outcome and what is it that we did good and how are we rewarded for it. So, you have to keep these things in mind. They want fun. They want a culture where, they can make friends. They spend a lot of hours at work, right? And also gone are the days where we used to think 8 to 5 ki job hai ya 9 to 6 ki job hai. They're very passionate people, so they don't take job as a job. They sort of also take it as a lifestyle. So they need to really have that fun factor. And when I talk about how to keep them engaged, it goes beyond all of that, right? So attending to all of their needs before COVID times and while we were also working physically 100% was quite interesting and challenging. But now we've seen in the last 1 year and 2 years now almost, it brings us a whole new set of dynamics in terms of dealing with them. I can't give you a one set solution. Okay, this is what you can do for these people, and this is, or I cannot even tell you that this is a particular challenge that this set of people have. They're a very diverse group of people. Customized solutions is the way, very personalized, customized, things that I'm talking about. What may work for me may not work for the other person. One size does not fit all kind of a situation. So yeah, like when we're talking about working from home, a few challenges that we generally see is that, to be able to disconnect to connect. While they all love working, they also have a lot of other activities and passions. And, you find it difficult for yourself to draw that boundary. This is when work ends. So yeah, these are a few things that, I thought I'd share. But really the essence of the whole thing is to have personalized solutions and to address each individual as separate individuals and make processes and solutions for them accordingly. It doesn't make our life easy or the life of the line managers who are still trying to understand this set of employees as a whole and their personalities. But now while working virtually as well, you have to keep in mind that it's not just 5 people and one solution. It's 5 people and 5 different solutions that we're looking for with very different 5 challenges and needs and demands. So before you do anything, that's, I think, one thing we have to always keep in mind.
So Aniya basically talked about personalized solution creating for different set of employees. And if we go with the typical leadership models, we all understand that roughly 54% of the time people just exercise one style of leadership, which is their inherent or built-in leadership style. And as a result, 50% of the time they are managing their people in a wrong way. So it's all about personalization as we go forward. So coming to Arif, Arif, you work in a very labor-intensive industry, container terminal. And when we talk about artificial intelligence, smart software, solutions, automation, we always find out that such industries have a lot of resistance, and they challenge you that if you do that, then you're going to unemploy a huge pool of labor in the country. And they also tell you that you can find very cost-effective labor in the country, so why would we go for this kind of automation? So how would you look at the scenario of implementing digital transformation in HR or overall systems in an industry which is labor-intensive like container terminal?
Thank you, Asim Saab. Yes, as you said, this container terminal industry is highly intensive, labor-oriented, and as well as people are not that much literate, which are normally we find in other industries. So yes, workforce is highly reluctant to accept this automation and digital transformation. Yes, we are trying to change the mindset of our people by coaching them, by adopting different techniques. And if we talk about Pakistan, here in Karachi, we almost have, in different terminals, we almost have 35 QA cranes. QA cranes, does anybody know? What is this QA cranes?
Arif, can you pull the mic a little closer? Yeah, great.
जी, अब बेहतर है कुछ?
Yeah.
So, in Pakistan, seaports are available only in Karachi. So, if we talk about seaports in Karachi, we have around 35 QA cranes. And what does QA cranes works? Does anybody know about QA cranes? Just raise your hand. नहीं, so अभी आपसे नहीं पूछना, आप तो मेरे साथ ही होती हैं ना.
That's insider information.
So कितने लोग नहीं जानते QA cranes को? Just raise your hand. सवाल ऐसे कर लेते हैं. Okay. So कुछ लोग जानते हैं, उन्होंने हैंड रेज नहीं की है, उनके लिए. So QA crane का फंक्शन ये होता है कि जब एक वेसल पोर्ट के ऊपर पार्क होता है, QA cranes pick the container from its spreader and park the container either on the truck or on the land. और उसके बाद फिर बाकी ऑपरेशन स्टार्ट होता है. एंड इन वन वेसल में जो शिप्स होते हैं, एंड इन वन वेसल द कैपेसिटी इज टू कैरी द कंटेनर्स 24,000 कंटेनर्स वन वेसल कैन कैरी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, अगर कराची के किसी एक पोर्ट पे एक वेसल कंटेनर्स लेके आता है, सो नॉर्मली ऑन एन एवरेज around 250 to 300 containers needs to be removed from the vessel and parked on the area. अब ये सारा प्रोसेस कराची में is being operated through man management. And QA cranes पे जो बैठने का पोस्चर होता है, let me practically मैं आपको ट्राई करके बताता हूँ किस तरह बैठते हैं. आपने अपना हेड भी ऊपर, सो जब आप इस पोस्चर में हैं तो आपने कंटिन्यूसली नीचे देखते रहना है समंदर की तरफ, और आपने अपना हेड भी ऊपर नहीं उठाना है. सो व्हेन यू आर सिटिंग एंड ऑपरेटिंग क्रेन इन दिस पोस्चर, डिफरेंट मेडिकल डिसेबिलिटीज डेवलप होना शुरू हो जाती हैं आपकी बॉडी में. सो दिस ऑटोमेशन हैज़ डन अ वंडरफुल जॉब फॉर दीज पीपल and terminals. And right now in Karachi, out of these 35 cranes, almost 11 cranes are being operated through computers by sitting in an operator room, and females are operating those cranes. This is a big change through this automation in this terminal world globally. So I would say this is a magnificent achievement through automation on these terminals. Secondly, if मैं आपसे और शेयर अगर करूँ, there is a software which all terminals globally are being using, and that software is called Global Tracking System. If one vessel is coming at any port, then operators who are picking these containers from the vessel, they know that which container is being parked on the vessel where. So otherwise, अगर ये global tracking system, which is based on the automation, नहीं मालूम हो, then ये 250 से 300 containers move करना एक vessel से, it will take weeks. And our operators are doing this job in 2 to 3 hours. So this global tracking system, which is telling the area and the container which needs to be uploaded or offloaded at any container, ये हमें बताता है globally. And there is, besides all these automations, अब एक जो as human resources हमें जो एक challenge का सामना करना पड़ता है, we need to identify the skill gap of our employees. What kind of training, if we are going to adopt these kind of automations, then what kind of training or development and exposure we need to give our employees so their job should be retained and they will be retained in this industry. So this is a challenge for us while we are working in ports.
That's a great perspective. So, Jawad, if we look at the landscape of Pakistani startups and the applications of artificial intelligence in so many industries, then how do you see this startup culture is going to change the conventional HR culture in Pakistan?
First of all, sir, thank you very much for asking such an interesting question.
You're welcome.
First, we need to understand what is startup culture and how is it different from the corporate culture. Actually, the corporate culture is driven from its vision, mission, and its core values, and cascaded down to the organization. Whereas when we talk about the startup culture, it values the creativity, innovation, complex problem solving, and agility, and it has a flat hierarchy. So, like in last couple of years, we have HR has seen, with the innovation, with the technology, they have seen drastic changes in couple of years in HR processes. With the startup setup, जो हमारे startup हैं, they are providing the digital solutions in HR services to provide paperless environment so that they can succeed, they can compete in this digital era. For example, I'm giving you an example like that. We have our artificial intelligence tools with the name is Prioritize, which helps the organization and the managers to track the performance of the individuals and set their KPIs and goals 4 times smarter than the human involvement. अगर जैसे जो आपके मैनुअल जो लोग KPIs and goals set करते हैं, वो जो tool है उसके through you can set their KPIs and goals 4 times smarter than that. अब उसकी वजह से जो HR लैंडस्केप के ऊपर जो प्रेशर आ रहा है उसमें लाइक दैट जो अभी प्रैक्टिसिंग हो रही है हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस में इन द HR फंक्शंस हम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस लाइक 3 to 4 एरियाज़ में यूज़ कर रहे हैं. वन इज़ दी interviewing skills. We are shortlisting candidates through artificial intelligence tool. We are providing coaching through artificial intelligence. And then interviewing भी जो है वो we have the tools like there is a lot of platforms available in the industry which are providing and hiring processes making easy for the organizations. और artificial intelligence के through हम questions पूछते हैं वो facial recognition के through he can identify कि जी जो आंसर्स आ रहे हैं कैंडिडेट्स की तरफ से वो कितने जो है वो एक्यूरेट हैं उसके फेशियल रिकग्निशन के थ्रू ही कैन आइडेंटिफाई. सो दिस इज़ द करंट सिनेरियो इन द स्टार्टअप्स आर यूजिंग द टेक्नोलॉजी एंड विच इज़ क्रिएटिंग प्रेशर टू द कॉर्पोरेट्स जाइंट्स कि वो भी अपने प्रोसेसेस एंड अपनी HR फंक्शनिंग्स को जो है स्मूथ करें. As per the study of the Forbes study, around 30% of the administrative tasks in future by 2030 will be reduced and taken over by the technology and artificial intelligence. For example, you have seen Uber car, like Google car, तो ड्राइवर की जॉब जो है वो ख़त्म हो रही हैं. इसी तरह when we talking about the receptionist job, इस तरह की जॉब्स जो हैं वो इन फ्यूचर जो हैं वो रिडेंडेंट हो रही हैं. If you're talking about the tailor, receptionist, accountant, let's see the example of Amazon Go. You go into the store, you pick the items, you come out from the stores, it's automatically debit on your Amazon accounts. So usse impact kya ho raha in future? You don't need a cashier, you don't need an accountant who can reconcile your things. So टेक्नोलॉजी जो है वो एम्बेडेड हो रही है HR फंक्शन में ग्रेजुअली. हम ऑलमोस्ट 10 to 15 years बिहाइंड हैं. वी हैव टू थिंक ड्रास्टिकली कि हमने किस तरह अपने जो टैलेंट है हमारे पास, जो लोग हैं, उनको किस तरह अप स्किलिंग करना है. लाइक आई सेड, जो ऐसे रूटीन टास्क हैं जिसमें देयर इज़ नो क्रिटिकल रीजनिंग, क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग नहीं है, वो टास्क विल बी ऑटोमाइज्ड and taken over by the technology. Now comes to the millennials. Millennials around the world, around 80% of the millennials are afraid if the technology will come that will taken over their jobs and responsibilities. तो उनको एक बहुत फेयर है कि अगर हम टेक्नोलॉजी को ग्रैस्प करें तो हमारी जॉब, टेक्नोलॉजी सो नॉट द ग्रैसिंग, अगर टेक्नोलॉजी आती है, इम्प्लीमेंट होती है ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में, तो आपकी जॉब्स जो हैं वो रिडेंडेंट हो जाएंगी. सो वी नीड टू थिंक अबाउट दैट गोइंग फॉरवर्ड इन फ्यूचर, हाउ वी कैन अपग्रेड आवर स्किल्स. हमें किसी एट पॉइंट इन टाइम टेक्नोलॉजी को गले लगाना ही पड़ेगा. विदाउट टेक्नोलॉजी वी कैन नॉट सर्वाइव अल्टीमेटली. अभी जो लास्ट सेशन था पैनल डिस्कशन में, एक खातून एक सवाल पूछा पैनलिस्ट से कि जी आप अभी आगे टेक्नोलॉजी की बात कर रहे हैं तो आप एजुकेशन में क्यों नहीं जाके ये बात करते कि जिस टाइम हम पढ़ रहे हैं तो उसमें यू विल टॉक अबाउट कि जी रेवोल्यूशन आ रही हैं नेक्स्ट 10 years 15 years के अंदर, इस तरह की जॉब जो हैं वो रिडेंडेंट हो जाएंगी. ऐसी मज़ीद जॉब हैं. अभी तो एग्जांपल्स मैंने आपको 3-4 जॉब्स के बारे में ही बताया है, लेकिन लॉयर्स की जॉब, जब आपके पास बिग डेटा होगा, आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस डेटा होगा, आपके पास डिसीजन मेकिंग ईजी हो जाएगी टू द ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, टू द इंडिविजुअल एज वेल, कि आपको किसी लॉयर को फ़ी पे करने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. जस्ट गो टू द ऐप, यू जस्ट सर्च, आपको मल्टीपल ऑप्शंस क्रिएट आ जाएंगे. हम कोई चीज़ सर्च करते हैं, इवन मुझे लेट सपोज अगर कोई शूज़ परचेज़ करना है, जस्ट गूगल इट कि जी इस तरह के ब्रांड ये वो, तो वाया आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस मुझे फेसबुक पे भी ऐड आने शुरू हो जाते हैं, मुझे गूगल्स पे भी आने शुरू हो जाते हैं. तो सम हाउ एट द प्रेजेंट काफ़ी हद तक आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस ने आपको जो है वो टेक ओवर कर लिया. This is my
that's a
two
great
cents.
perspective, and I'm sure that a lot of us, by this time, because of the conversations happening around HR, technology, and AI, a lot of our search options that are going to show on our phones in the next couple of minutes will be about all these things.
So true, so
Yeah.
true.
So I'll take a break here quickly, and I would like to take some questions for the panel. Anyone? Can we have the mics for those people who want to ask a question? Question for anyone. Without question, I will not move forward. Please. Sure. Please introduce yourself, name, organization, and then ask the question.
Yes, I'm Ramshali. I'm leading the HR team at one of the smallest companies, KML. That's one of the BPO. I got a question basically. We have been talking about artificial intelligence and technologies taking places and people being afraid of, replacing them with the technology. So there is one thing. The person who was actually working on analyzing the reports and the person who was actually working on report performance appraisals, ultimately they don't have to do anything, right? They just have to upload the data for that. Somebody has to upload the data. So what kind of a people we hire for that position specifically that actually needs to, upload the data, because that's confidential data. And that person will be in the HR team ultimately. But they have this mindset that all we are doing is, doing data entry at all. So why do we have to study HR and we do have to maintain the confidentiality of the company, and because at the day end we are doing data entry. So how do we cope up with that mindset, and what kind of a people do we have for that position specifically?
That's a great point. Ji, anyone from the panel?
Can I answer on this?
Yes, please go ahead.
Actually, I will say that it's our perception that how we take the role. Because the data entry is not the data entry, you also have to read the numbers which is actually showing on the dashboard. Because, like I know a lot of people, they only put the data, and when the dashboard is presenting in front of them, they can't read it, what actually it making sense or what the dashboard is speaking to them. So I think, you also need specialized HR people who have a financial background or a, like commercial background, but actually data speak itself, and there's even your senior management sometime unable to understand the dashboard that what actually, this is speaking all about, what your number is telling. Okay, fine, what do you mean by retention? Okay, fine, like all these things have to speak by the individual who is putting the data.
Yeah, does this address your question?
I'd also just quickly add 1 or 2 lines to what she
Please,
said. I
please,
completely
anyone.
resonate with that. So I feel like the data entry jobs, like we've all discussed today, will be mundane and no longer, useful. It's more about what you're doing to add more value and to really enhance that role. Why is that role or that position just seen as one where the person is responsible for uploading data and that's it, right? What is that person's own career growth and development when we think about it? So while we have so many avenues of data, how we use it and what we're going to do about it also really matters, right? So maybe as part of the person's future growth, progress, more immersion into HR roles, especially when it comes to digital tech, how to analyze data, you could enhance the role and have that person more involved in terms of, giving you more insights as to what data means, what can be done better, and the management can start taking insights into more, useful action points. While doing that, not only are you keeping the person happy who's doing a mundane job, but also involved in, using some of the brain and, getting good insights as well along the way.
Good. Thank you, Aniya. Any other question? Please. Can we have the mic over there, please? Go ahead. Okay. Thank you so much.
Hi, so my question to you will be, sir, that you just mentioned that performance management system is being maintained by an AI system. So I was intrigued about how things go about in this system, like because there are so many aspects in managing and appraising a person's performance and assessing the same in a human environment, whereby there can be so many things that impacting the performance of an individual. Resource shortcomings, time management issues. In a world like COVID, जहाँ पे हम आजकल इतने rapidly चीज़ों को change होते हुए देख रहे हैं, how will you incorporate an AI-based system, which is like 100% AI-based system in performance management system of an individual? Thank you. And this is Sobia from PICT.
Thank you so much for asking a brilliant question. First, we need to understand जो आपका performance management system है वो driven from the goal setting process. You have goals and then you set certain KPIs. Why I'm talking about that artificial intelligence will take over that performance management roles and setting goals and KPIs, because we have already a big data available in that system which align with the role. जो भी आपका role है, manager finance, manager HR, तो उसके पास तो already big data है. उस डेटा को देखते हुए ही विल सेट योर KPIs. आप वो गोल्स किस तरह अचीव कर रहे हैं, डेफिनेटली मैंने बात की कि जो वो रोल्स रिडेंडेंट हो जाएंगे जिसके अंदर टास्क के अंदर कोई क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग नहीं है, कोई स्टेक होल्डर मैनेजमेंट या इंटरेक्शन नहीं है, पीपल स्किल्स जो रोल्स हैं, जिन रोल्स में पीपल स्किल मैनेजमेंट है, दे विल स्टे लॉन्गर. जब तक हम मशीन और ह्यूमन माइंड सिंक नहीं हो सकते तो आई डोंट थिंक सो ये जॉब जो हैं वो रिडेंडेंट हो जाएंगी. सो आई एम अगेन बैक टू योर क्वेश्चन. परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम इज़ ईजली डूएबल थ्रू दी AI सिस्टम विच वी हैव ऑलरेडी इन प्लेस. हॉलैंड एक कंपनी है, हमारी एसोसिएशन है उसके साथ. दे आर प्रोवाइडिंग देयर सर्विसेज इन पाकिस्तान एज वेल. कपल ऑफ कंपनीज हैं जो अभी इम्प्लीमेंट कर रही हैं उस चीज़ को. सो देयर इज़ अ सिस्टम ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल और परफॉर्मेंस मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम जो है उसके थ्रू we can run, organizations can run the performance management system. इसी तरह देखें अभी जब हमने बात की कि हम recruitment भी कर रहे हैं, हम shortlisting भी कर रहे हैं, even we are selecting individual through a artificial intelligence tool जो आपके facial recognition पे आपके answers को judge कर रहा है कि जी ये fake questions तो नहीं है, fake इनके gestures तो नहीं है, तो उनकी basis पे recruitment हो रही है. So in future इस तरह की चीज़ें भी जो हैं वो convert हो जाएंगी on technology. Technology will take over these jobs.
Thank you so much. So, Nimra.
I'm Nimra.
Hira. You are Nimra, right?
Yes, she is Hira.
So, yeah. So I was just, since you answered that question, I was just trying to come back to you. So, based on the conversation that we are seeing right now, what are the emerging trends that you see in HR?
Okay, like a lot of people have answered this, but I will start my reply with giving you a small snapshot of what happened 1.5 years ago. I still remember like when COVID happened in Pakistan. So a lot of like HR went to their line managers, the CEOs and the owners of the organization, and they said, this is the notice we have to shut down the factory, offices and everything. So they said, like the reply was, no, we can't do it because the business will be in loss. And, but HR said, like we have to take a action on it because, well, first of all, it is must to have, and as being a human and an HR person, we have to have an engagement with the people and we are a well-being as well. So, there are few companies who took a positive action and there are few companies who were not actually supportive toward this. As we know that, then, most of the company went to federation and then they get the waiver because of the, there are a few industry like food industry, pharma, they were the export industry, they went a waiver that, okay, fine, you can open your factories and your offices based on your, like 50% of the headcount should be coming in there. So, like if I go back, I remember when I moved from a multinational to a local company, a semi-local company. So we were actually proposing to the management that we should have work from home policy as well. So that time it was so difficult for us to make them understand that why, we should go with this policy. Because even today, the ratio has increased, but it is that time, this time is around 34%. As per the Harvard Business Review data, that people still believe that we should work from home. That time it was around 20% that people believe that, we should work from home. Even though today, 74% of the employer believe that they will be working remotely across the world. I'm talking about the data. So going back, I think, like we are talking about technology and everything. The one thing which as an HR, I believe that, like we have to see that how remotely we can engage our people more, because because a lot of organizations are back to the office work, so when employees are asking for the annual leaves, so they say you just come back from the home, why you need a leaves? So I think, like they were not at home, they were working as well. So we have to come up with the proper annual leave plans for them as well, because they were, like having a stressful life at home because they might have lost their well-being. Their family members, they have gone through COVID like themselves or their family member at home. So I think we have to see as an HR that what, point of view in terms of policies, we should actually incorporate and come back. For example, I was a part of one of the survey. So there was a question that, should we outsource few departments? Because, like they were a multinational company in Pakistan, so they were thinking that they should rethink about, because of the COVID, people are working from home. So, like there is a lot of position they identify that can be, outsourced and they don't need their people. So they hired us and we conduct some interviews with them through Zoom and we have given them the questions. So it comes that, people are insecure of their job as well, even though they are working with a particular organization, but they are actually, looking for a jobs as well. So as an HR, what I have done when we pursue back, we conducted a town hall meetings and we actually listened to the management, the workers, the mid-level of everywhere in a separate groups, and we make them realize that, the position is not going to be, like released or you will not be fired. We will be needing them. And I think there's one more thing which as an HR I foresee that this time in 2 batches, we hired MTs online. We have done their interaction, everything through Zoom. Normally, you know, as an HR, we used to take them around and everything. We show them the office, we interact with them. So the disconnect they have with their people, the line managers, I think, you know, we have to take care of those things, because these people are the newcomers have very emotional, they have a lot of things in their mind to come up with, but the time they were on board, because this is the second batch we hired as an MT. So first batch has no attraction with their manager face to face or physically. They only have a meeting with their Zoom, or, you know, like, there is no such conferences, there is no events now happening where, you know, you interact at all. Because I'm very glad that we have done this session here, because, you know, like, a lot of people came up with the phobia that, okay, fine, you know, we will be a part of a conference where we will be interacting it up, the distance might be less and everything is happening there. So I think, you know, like, as an HR, I foresee that we have to, you know, like, come up and give the employee a remotely work policy, because people have worked and, you know, like, they were working more hours because you're working at home. So, okay, fine, the Zoom is on, your phone is on, so, okay, fine, you know, you're working. And second thing is that we should more talk about the well-being of the people, because they came up back from the work of like home, and it was for them is also a very new experience, because they might the kid was at home, they have to work, the kids might be disturbing them, they have issues with everything, their internet get disconnect, their boss is very unhappy that, you know, I was waiting for you in the meeting, but you were not online. Because when I came back, so these things were actually, you know, happening, and people were telling us, you know, my boss, you know, like, was unhappy with me because I was a part of the meeting, but unfortunately my light went gone and internet was off, so he thought, you know, I took it personally, something like that. Yeah. So I think, you know, like, we have to see that how well-being as an HR, like, how we should, within the SOPs, we come up with the engagement activities for them, the motivational activities for them, you know, we have to see that how we should go back to the normal life, because it's not easy for us to have a career fair or anything and get the talent, because what we are doing is more toward that, okay, fine, through interviews on the line, and they are conducting tests and you're hiring them up. And then there is no interaction of HR to the new onboard people. Yeah. So I think, you know, like, we have to come back with the same strategy, because everybody have talked about the automation, everything, and a lot of people have it. I will just give you example, like, about Decibel. When I was working with Faisal, and he came to us for my like Donata organization, so we bought from him a payroll and a time tracks, and they were selling us the performance management, everything, and we, as in management, and we said, okay, we don't need it now. But today we feel that, you know, these were the tools which was actually there, but the management said, you know, why to invest more money if the HR is there? And we have closed one cycle completely at home with the performance management tool and everything. So I think now the top management, who is the, you know, funders, and, you know, now they believe that, okay, fine, these are the tools, which is a, you know, like, which is a saver for them.
Absolutely. And this can really increase a lot of organizational efficiency. Though that's a great perspective. So I just wanted to cover 2 last aspects of our conversation, and they are, you know, interlinked in one way or the other. So we talked about generations. So we want generations at work. We do not want generations at war with each other, right? So how do we seamlessly integrate lots of generations at work and create a conducive environment for a digital transformation? Hira. And then with Ammar, you know, in the same context, if you could talk about the ethical side of AI, because we talk about AI, but, you know, AI will have bias that you will build into the system. So I would like you to take up the question about ethical side of the AI once Hira completes the conversation about generations at work.
Great.
Please.
Thank you, Asim sir.
You're welcome.
So, well, yes, we're dealing with generations. We've got, I would say, we at the moment have 3 tiers of generations in this room as well, in this hall, and in our daily work life. We have to deal with them. They are all from different categories, different their specifications are different, their nature is different, their demands are different, their work processes, their ways of looking at life and dealing with life is also very different. However, we, as a good HR or an HR department, is to take care of all of them together collectively and take them all together in one go. How do we do that? It's not easy. And I have been through that myself. I worked for a company where we had launched or implemented a system where, again, leading to digitalization. It was the first time ever for that company to move into a digital era or the phase, and acceptance was number one that I faced as a pushback from. Although, as everyone in the earlier stages said, we need to have a buy-in from the management when step one is entering into digitalization or transformation, or to have a proper strategy. Everything was well set. Everything was all sold out. The buy-in from management was excellent. But when we came on to the implementation side, day one, boom, we were told, oops, what have you done? So that was the moment we were not sure what have we done, which was wrong. And we decided as management to take a step back and take it slow and steady. Yes, we did not do the mithai distribution thing, but there were a lot of other things that we did, like, engagement sessions, calling people up, asking for what was their fear factor. It was just a small session. It was just a small digitalization entrance part was to, do your attendance instead of manual through your hand or a thumbprint. And people wouldn't want to do that. It was just very basic. Why? What was the fear factor? People would call the new HR department as an inspector or a police inspector standing there to count my numbers and hours of working hours, and they would call other names like such, which was leading to a negative impact. So there was the strategy which went wrong. Instead of just getting a buy-in from the management, there was a requirement to get a buy-in and acceptance from the masses, the public, the other employees who were actually the users of the, the tool. They were from from one of the generations, that is Generation X and Generation Y. Whereas the new generation that we have, Generation Z, and then they were the ones who accepted the system very easily. They were fine because they are the ones who are used to digitalization. They are on it. They don't like physical, the manual aspects. They are on to the digital tools in a flow. They're born with it. So I personally felt, being a millennial, this was the change or the challenge we faced, was the transformation from the manuals to the digital platform. It was difficult. However, when we tweaked our strategy, it worked really well. In addition to that, there are ways around with engagement for the Generation Y and X to work around with. And the management needs to really look into it from the depth. There was a comment about creating and developing personalized solutions for people and different talent or human resources in the company. But yes, we need to also look at age factors and generations, how we need to look around. So that personalized solution was what we also came up at my earlier company. Simultaneously, when I joined Awan, it was at in the era of COVID. The peak COVID was there, and everybody would tell me, "Are you crazy? You're going to Awan and you'll be infected on day one." Well, I faced another phase of digital transformation over there. Very smoothly did the orientation. To date, I'm doing my meetings and everything on Zoom and Teams. The digital platforms they're using on daily basis. I have never met most of my peers who I deal with on daily basis. So I've never met them face to face, only on Teams and digital platforms so far. It's been almost a year and a half. But I know them so well. The interaction goes so smooth. Everything is perfect. And in fact, I had my very first orientation session through Zoom, which was when I was having my session, I was like, this is not going to work. I won't get to know anyone. But trust me, when there's an acceptance, everything's going to go smooth. And it's both ways you have to work around. It's not just responsibility of HR to make things wonderful for people. It's about people from the other side as well to give an acceptance. Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Hira. Thank you so much. Ammar, ethical AI.
पूरे सेशन के अंदर हम यही देख रहे थे कि AI है related and AI in HR, everyone is talking about that. So if you talk about ethical aspect of AI, first of all, I had to tell the benefits that we had take if we implement AI in any HR applications. बहुत सारे benefits हम ले सकते हैं अगर if we implement AI in any HR application. For example, if we, my fellow colleague also tell us before, कि if we implement AI in recruitment process, currently recruitment will be a challenge to any HR in a current era. So if we implement AI, so their time will be minimized. As we already know, AI will use past experiences and past knowledge to we can say save time and doing work more efficiently and more accurately. If we talk about ethical aspect of AI, so it can eliminate human biasness if we use AI in recruitment process. So when implementing AI in any application, regardless of HR, we have to, or a technical developer who is working, or technical project manager who is working on that specific software, they had a single line that we have to judge, is this be a ethical thing that our customer will want? Is this a thing that will help our customer? So we have to make a decisions when we are implementing. We have to take charge in case that if we are not implementing ethical AI in our HR applications. We can talk about some limitations as well if we implement AI in HR applications. If we implement, currently we are working, currently I am representing a tech company with CM. So when we are in the implementation phase, we face many challenges currently. Currently there will be a challenge of payroll implementation in many organizations. So when we talk about AI, we have to currently make courses to university level, so university can guide their new HR, you can say HR, coming HRs, that we have to follow our application, we have to follow AI. They know how AI will help them in their day-to-day works. If we talk about AI in application, it can help us in many ways. For example, it can help us in recruitment. It can currently there will be a question regarding the performance side. Yes, there will be a chance. There will be a gap in HR applications. We have to implement AI in HR applications so it can save time. HR will currently HR का जो भी काम है ना वो आप समझ लें ज़्यादातर ऑपरेशन साइड पे. अब जाके लोग ये इस तरफ आए हैं कि स्टडी साइड पे भी सोच रहे हैं. अब ये थर्ड स्टेज HR का आ रहा है. HR एप्लीकेशन की अगर बात की जाए कि जो है AI. अभी हम सेकंड स्टेज पे फर्स्ट स्टेज पे, सॉरी टू से सब HR में जहाँ बैठे हुए हैं, अभी हम फर्स्ट और सेकंड स्टेज पे ही फंसे हुए हैं कि ऑपरेशन HR कैसे होगा, स्ट्रेटेजिक HR कैसे होगा. तो वो अगर हम AI की अगर लेकर आ जाएंगे तो एक थर्ड गैप आ जाएगा. जो सबसे पहले हमें ज़रूरत ये है कि हम पहले अपने HR को ट्रेन करें उस लेवल के ऊपर. मैं अगर हम अपनी कंपनी की बात करूँ फ्लूएसियम की, तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल जब हमारा इम्प्लीमेंटेशन इस लेवल पे ट्रेंड है कि जब वो जाते हैं इम्प्लीमेंट करवाने के लिए तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल उनकी पेन रियलाइज़ करवाते हैं कि दैट्स आर द पेन दैट यू हैव टू सॉल्व इफ़ यू टेक एनी HR सॉफ्टवेयर. इसी तरीके से उनको AI जब आएगा तो उनको पहले से यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पे ट्रेन करने की ज़रूरत है कि AI जब आएगा तो आपकी ये चीज़ें होंगी ताकि वो चेंज को अडॉप्ट करें. सबसे बड़ा मसला हमारे लिए एक टेक कंपनी के लिए ये होता है कि जो चेंज है वो जो है एक्सेप्ट नहीं होता. आज तक हम पेरोल पे ही रुके हुए हैं, आज तक हम रिक्रूटमेंट प्रोसेस पे ही रुके हुए हैं. जब AI के ऊपर आएंगे तो इसके लिए सबसे अच्छी चीज़ ये है कि हमें पहले से ही, या जब आप इम्प्लीमेंट कराने जा रहे हो या यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल के ऊपर इस तरह की ट्रेनिंग्स होनी चाहिए. या जैसे HR लेजेंड एक बहुत बड़ा फॉरम है, इस लेवल के ऊपर भी ट्रेनिंग्स होनी चाहिए कि अगर AI आ जाएगा तो सो दिस विल हेल्प यू इन दैट मैनर. So there will be a limitation and there will be a benefit, but overall, if I conclude my conversation, So AI will minimize your time. AI will give you the analytics that you will not make by your own. AI will give you that type of analytics. That will you never know. कि इस एनालिटिक्स के काम के ऊपर इस तरह के एनालिटिक्स आपके पास आ सकते हैं कि आप सोच भी नहीं सकते, कि आप सोच भी नहीं रहोगे अगर आप उस पर काम करने भी जाते हैं. अगर मैं करंट एचआर एप्लीकेशंस की बात भी करूं तो उसमें भी वो भी अगर आप देखेंगे तो डैशबोर्ड्स एनालिटिक्स हैं, लेकिन वो ट्रेंड एनालिसिस, फॉर एग्जांपल अगर मैं बात करता हूं कि यार एक एम्प्लॉय एक ट्रेंड फॉलो कर रहा है आपका, हर 15 दिन के बाद वो आप देखो हर 15 को वो लीव ले रहा है, वो लास्ट 6 महीने से कर रहा है, तो आप करंट एप्लीकेशंस के अंदर भी उस चीज़ को निकाल नहीं सकते. लेकिन अगर आप एआई को फॉलो करोगे तो एआई वो पास्ट एक्सपीरियंसेस को यूज़ करते हुए, वो अपनी मॉडर्न मशीन लर्निंग को यूज़ करते हुए दे प्रेडिक्ट और दे गिव यू अ आंसर दैट एम्प्लॉय विल फॉलोइंग दैट ट्रेंड, हम ताकि उस चीज़ पे काम कर सकें ना. करंटली एचआर का काम ये होना चाहिए कि वो रादर कि अभी सॉल्यूशंस को सॉल्व करे, उन एम्प्लॉयज़ के पहले इश्यूज उसके सामने रेज हो जाएं, एआई वो इश्यूज रेज करेगा सामने ताकि वो उसको सॉल्व कर सके उनके साथ बैठ कर. So that's my part on AI in HR application.
Exactly, Ammar. And here on this note, we will conclude the panel discussion. I would like everyone to give a round of applause for the panelists. Thank you very much to all the panelists and the organizers. And there are just 2 key takeaways. Very simple, straightforward. Future is human, future is digital. Thank you very much. Over to Nazir.